These brownies are so good. There is no way anyone would be able to tell they are gluten-free. Take them to any party, they will be destroyed in minutes. If your gluten-free brownies are thin or oily or greasy or they fall apart, this video is going to fix that for you. And bonus, they're still ridiculously easy. They're just as simple as using a box mix. It just takes the right pan, a little bit of cocoa powder, and this fantastic recipe. So the recipe is written on my website using a 9x13 pan, but today I'm going to just half the recipe and make an 8x8 inch pan. So for that, you need 1/3 cup of just cubed butter. We're gonna combine that over lowish heat, 3/4 cup of sugar, and then 2 tablespoons of water. So just mix that together until everything's melted. It'll eventually start to bubble a little bit. And once it starts bubbling and all the sugar is dissolved in the water, then we just pull it off the heat and finish mixing everything in. Okay, so once you take it from the heat, then we're gonna pour in a cup of chocolate chips. I like using chocolate chips versus cocoa powder. I am gonna add a little cocoa powder, I'll talk about that. But I like using chocolate chips versus cocoa powder for brownies, especially gluten-free brownies, because they have a tendency to be dry and the chocolate chips just adds more moisture while a nice, rich, fudgy, chocolatey taste too. So once that's all mixed and melted together, then I just set it aside for about 10 minutes to cool slightly, because next we're gonna add the eggs and we don't wanna cook the eggs, we just wanna beat them in. So just set it aside for about 10 minutes to cool. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna show you how I line my pan with parchment paper. You don't have to do this, you could just spray your pan too, but I like to be able to lift out the brownies and be able to cut them. So grab a large sheet of parchment paper, and then what you're gonna do is just fold it over so it fits your pan. So I kind of fold it on one side, bring this up once I know that's the edge. Okay, crease that down, and then the same with the sides. So just fold it under, bring this, and fold it over. So now the bottom is exactly the size of your pan. I'm just gonna trim the edges off a little bit. We don't need quite so much. And then when you open it up, you're gonna have 4 little corners on the edges here. And so I'm just gonna make a diagonal cut to where it meets right there. And then rest it down on the pan. And then these little things that you cut are gonna kind of lap over each other. So one's gonna tuck behind, one's gonna go in front. So now this is where your batter is gonna go. I'm gonna spray that too. At this point, it doesn't have to be cool all the way. You just want it cool enough so your eggs aren't gonna cook. So I'm gonna do a teaspoon of vanilla and then 2 room temp eggs. And then just whisk that all together. You wanna whisk it kind of vigorously to make sure those eggs are really worked in. To finish it off, we just do a 3/4 cup of gluten-free flour. You could do any gluten-free flour you'd like. For this, it's pretty forgiving in terms of that. Then a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, which gives it that like chewiness that we need for brownies. This I recently added to the recipe. I do 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. And the reason why I do that was because gluten-free flour doesn't absorb fat very well, and there's kind of a lot of fat in this recipe. So adding a little bit more dry ingredients just help absorb those fats so your brownies don't like get spread and really greasy. So highly recommend add 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and then just combine that all together until you don't see any more dry ingredients. And because they're brownies and there's really no point in holding back, we're gonna do another 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. And then just pour that into your prepared pan. The trick with gluten-free brownies is I found a slightly lower oven temperature works a little better. It extends the baking time, so it gives extra time for all that moisture to absorb in the gluten-free flour. So we bake these at 325. An 8x8 pan will take about 30-ish minutes. If you're doing a 9x13, that can take up to 40 minutes. When you're testing the brownies, you want to put a toothpick in the middle to see if they're done, and it should come out not with wet batter, but it won't be dry either. I'll have like a little bit moist, fudgy crumbs on it, and then you know you're good. So to get that signature chewy edges with the nice shiny crackly top, you're going to want to use a metal baking pan. The metal just heats up faster, so the brownies cook a little bit faster and it retains the heat evenly throughout the pan. Where a glass pan, it takes too long to heat up, and then it takes a really long time to cool back down, so then you risk over baking your brownies as they cool in the pan. So metal pan is best. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.